You don't need more silence in your life. You need more peace, and those two things are not the same. Silence can be oppressive when your mind is a battlefield. You could turn off the phone, shut the doors, cancel your plans. And yet inside you there's still shouting, thoughts that argue, regrets that echo, scenarios that replay like broken records. That's the kind of noise no pair of headphones can cancel. You know exactly what I mean. You've tried to get away from it, maybe by overworking, oversleeping, binge watching, or overthinking. Maybe by escaping into noise that looks harmless: music, social media, podcasts just enough to drown out your own voice. But it never really works, does it? Because the noise isn't just outside, it's inside you. It's the voice that tells you you're behind in life, that you should have done more by now, that you're somehow not enough, not lovable enough, not successful enough, not peaceful enough. It's exhausting to live with that voice. It wears you down day by day, and the worst part is no one else sees it. To the outside world you look functional, stable, maybe even thriving, but no one sees what it costs you to hold it all together. Here's what I need you to know: you are not broken. You are overstimulated, overloaded. You've been carrying thoughts and fears that don't belong to you, trying to stay afloat in a world that rewards chaos. The truth is, your mind isn't noisy because it's flawed. It's noisy because it's full of unprocessed emotions, full of old conversations you didn't finish, full of narratives you never questioned, full of memories that still feel too alive to ignore. So when people tell you to just relax, you freeze, because for you, stillness doesn't feel safe. It feels like an ambush. As soon as everything gets quiet, the voices come closer, louder. But what if instead of running from the noise you turned toward it? What if you didn't try to fix your mind, or silence it, or shame it, but just witnessed it? Most people think peace comes from figuring it all out. But peace has never been about answers. It's about allowance, allowing the thoughts to pass through without gripping onto them, allowing your breath to move freely without controlling it, allowing yourself to be without needing to perform. You don't reach inner stillness by being perfect. You reach it by being present. So here's a question no one's asking you. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to do nothing, not be productive, not be improving, not be getting somewhere, just be? Stillness isn't empty. It's full of everything you've been too busy to feel, the grief you never named, the joy you never paused to celebrate, the exhaustion you never admitted to anyone, the questions you've kept buried under a to-do list. And when you finally sit in that stillness, maybe with the help of a frequency like 111 Hz, maybe with nothing but your breath, something subtle happens. The noise doesn't vanish, but it begins to untangle. You start to see which thoughts are yours, and which ones you've inherited from a world that always demands more. You notice the stories: I have to be successful to be loved. If I slow down, I'll fall behind. I can't rest until I've earned it. But what if those stories aren't the truth? What if you've been chasing peace outside when it's always been waiting for you inside, not at the end of achievement, but in the center of surrender? Let this land. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to not know what's next. In fact, that's often the moment something deeper can finally find you. Because peace doesn't arrive when life calms down. It arrives when you stop fighting your own mind, when you hold space for the noise not as an enemy, but as a messenger, when you realize you don't have to solve your thoughts. You only have to stop believing everything they say. And the irony, when you stop trying so hard to find stillness, it finds you. In the smallest of moments, when you're sitting with a cup of tea, or lying in bed with your hand on your heart, or letting a sound frequency hum through your chest. Stillness doesn't need your effort, it only needs your permission. So if you hear the noise today, let it be, but also underneath it listen for something softer, something ancient, a quiet hum inside your bones saying, you're safe now. That's the beginning of healing. That's the voice of stillness, and it was always there, waiting for you. You've seen them, the people who seem to carry peace in their eyes, who walk into a room and don't need to be the loudest person to be the most grounded. They're calm without being cold, kind without being overbearing, and no matter what's happening around them, they feel like they're living from some deeper place. We often mistake people like this for being detached, as if they've somehow disconnected from the mess of the world or distanced themselves from emotion, but that's not what's really happening. These people aren't detached, they're present, and presence, true presence, is one of the rarest, most powerful states a person can live in. We live in a world that's constantly yanking us out of the moment. Something happens, and instead of just feeling it, we immediately narrate it, analyze it, judge it, or post it. Our minds are always reaching into the past for answers, into the future for predictions. We've been taught that planning, worrying, and projecting will keep us safe, but often all they really do is keep us absent from the only place life is actually happening, right here, right now. Peaceful people know this. Not because they've figured life out, but because they've stopped trying to live it all at once. They don't numb themselves. They notice themselves. They've learned how to be with what is instead of what should be. They've made peace with not needing every question answered or every emotion explained. There's a softness in people like this, not weakness, but openness. When you talk to them, you feel heard, not because they're giving you advice, but because they're with you. They're not distracted. They're not in a rush to fix or respond or project their story onto yours. They're here entirely, and that level of presence, it changes things. It creates safety. It creates connection. It creates stillness in the middle of chaos. Presence isn't something you're born with. It's a discipline. It's a conscious choice to return to the moment again and again, even when your mind wants to run. Even when you're afraid of what you'll feel if you stop. That's why most people avoid presence, because the present moment is real, it's raw. It doesn't have the filters of the future or the edits of the past. It shows you what's actually happening in your body, in your breath, in your emotions, and that kind of honesty takes courage. But here's the thing, if you never become present, you never become whole. Because you can't heal what you're not willing to feel. You can't find peace while trying to outthink pain. You can't live fully if you're only half here. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you gave someone your undivided attention? No phone, no multitasking, no rushing to the next thing, and more importantly, when was the last time you gave yourself that? The most peaceful people you know have learned how to sit with themselves. They don't abandon their own company. They breathe with their anxiety instead of resisting it. They don't wait until life is perfect to feel peaceful. They practice peace like a sacred ritual in the middle of the imperfection. They walk slower, they listen longer, they speak with intention, they pause before reacting. They know that presence is not the absence of pain, it's the space in which pain can soften. They've made peace not because they've escaped life, but because they've stopped running from it. You don't have to escape the world to find peace. You don't have to sit on a mountain in silence or renounce relationships or leave everything behind. You just have to return. To this breath, to this moment, to this body you're in. Right now, as you listen to these words, your mind will want to wander. It will think about something you need to do later, someone you forgot to call, something you said yesterday. That's okay. Let it wander and then gently bring it back to your breath, to the space you're sitting in, to the sound of your own heart beating. That's presence. And in presence, peace isn't something you chase, it's something you remember. The world will try to convince you that peace is in the next achievement, the next relationship, the next breakthrough, but peace isn't somewhere out there. It's inside the smallest moment you're willing to fully enter. You can live a whole life waiting for the right moment to feel peaceful, or you can choose to enter that moment now, no matter how imperfect it is, and find something sacred there. This is what the most peaceful people know. You don't have to be untouched by life to be at peace. You just have to touch life with your full presence. And when you do, even if the world is on fire, your soul will remember what it feels like to be still, not because you've shut down, but because you've finally shown up. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a sound not just entering your ears, but moving through you, not a song, not a melody, a frequency one that doesn't ask for attention but still captures your whole being. That's 111 HZ. It's not just a sound, it's an invitation, a call home, because you've been away for a while, haven't you? Not physically, maybe, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Life has pulled you into 1,000 directions, emails, errands, expectations, old wounds, future fears. And somewhere in that noise, you lost touch with your own inner stillness. That's what 111 HE does. It reminds you, it returns you. It reattunes you to the part of yourself that never left, but that you haven't listened to in a while. There's a reason this frequency is often called the frequency of healing, not because it fixes anything for you, but because it makes space for what wants to heal. It doesn't push, it doesn't preach. It invites. Imagine being held in a room where nothing is required of you. Nothing needs to be figured out, fixed, or forced. You just sit and breathe and let the frequency do what words can't. That's what happens when you allow yourself to experience 111 HZ. It creates a kind of resonance within your body, not just on a cellular level, but on a soul level. A vibration that says, you're allowed to feel everything you've been holding. You're safe enough now to let it go. You're whole, even in the places you thought were broken. You see, healing isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's incredibly quiet. Sometimes the deepest healing doesn't come from solving or striving. It comes from surrender, and that's what 111 HZ teaches you, that you don't need to fight for peace. You just need to create space for it. This frequency helps you drop into your body, into your breath, into the present moment where the noise of the world can't reach you the same way. It's like stepping into a sacred chamber within yourself. One you forgot existed because you've been so busy surviving, and the beauty of it is, you don't have to understand it intellectually. Your body understands. Your nervous system responds before your mind even tries to make sense of it. You start to breathe deeper, your muscles soften, your thoughts slow, and in that slowness, something incredible happens. You feel yourself again, not the performance of you, not the projected, curated, controlled version, but the real you, the one beneath the fear, beneath the stories, beneath the armor. That's why 111 HZ is not just a sound, it's a sacred return. It's like coming home to a version of you that was never in a rush, never confused about your worth, never disconnected from your own soul. The reason so many of us feel fragmented and anxious isn't because we're doing life wrong. It's because we've forgotten how to listen not to others, but to ourselves. We're constantly absorbing, reacting, managing, but rarely do we just receive, and that's the power of sound. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to try. You don't even have to believe. Just let it wash over you. Let it clear what's heavy. Let it reach places your thoughts can't. That's what true healing feels like. Effortless, gentle, ancient. You might cry. You might remember something you didn't know you were holding. You might feel absolutely nothing, and then days later, notice that the tension in your chest is gone, that your sleep is deeper, that you're more present in conversations. That's how this frequency works. Quietly, powerfully, precisely. It's not magic, it's alignment. So if you're someone who's been carrying too much for too long, if you've forgotten what peace feels like in your own body, if you've been searching for something outside of you to bring you back to life, try listening, not to a podcast, not to advice, but to this sound, this pure, intentional frequency that holds within it a vibration of remembrance. You are not broken, you are just distant from yourself. And this sound, it's not here to fix you, it's here to remind you you were always meant to return, you were always meant to feel whole, you were always meant to come home, and you still can with one breath. With one frequency, with one small moment of saying yes to stillness. 111 HZ is not a destination, it's a doorway. Step through and meet yourself again. Most people hear the word surrender and instinctively tense up. Because somewhere along the way, we were taught that surrender means giving up, that it's failure, that it's weak, that strong people fight and smart people fix, and only those without answers ever choose surrender. But that isn't the truth, that's just what fear wants you to believe, because real surrender is not weakness, it's courage. It's the moment you stop trying to carry everything by yourself. It's the breath you finally take after years of holding it in. It's trusting something deeper than logic, something ancient, quiet, sacred to guide you when your intellect has run out of maps. Logic has its place, of course. It helps you cross streets, balance checkbooks, choose what to eat, and navigate daily life. But when it comes to healing, when it comes to love, when it comes to truly transforming from the inside out, logic will only take you so far, because healing isn't linear, love isn't rational, and transformation doesn't come with instructions. You've probably had moments where you did everything right. You planned, you analyzed, you prepared, you looked for patterns, you tried to control the outcome with perfect logic, and still, it didn't work. Still, you ended up heartbroken, confused, or exhausted. That's because logic can't fix what your soul is meant to feel its way through, and this is where surrender enters, not as an admission of defeat, but as an act of devotion. When you surrender, you stop trying to manipulate the outcome. You stop demanding that life go your way. You stop clinging to the illusion that certainty is the only path to peace. Instead, you say, I don't know what's next, but I know I'm held. You whisper, this is uncomfortable, but maybe it's necessary. You breathe, even this belongs. Surrender isn't passive, it's deeply active. It's you showing up with open hands instead of clenched fists. It's you continuing to move forward even when you can't see the next step. It's you choosing trust over control, presence over perfection, softness over strategy, and here's what most people miss. Surrender isn't something that just happens once. It's a daily practice, sometimes an hourly one. It's the art of constantly releasing what's heavy, not because you're giving up, but because you're giving over. You're giving over the need to know, the need to be right, the need to protect yourself from every possible outcome. You're saying to the universe, to God, to the divine within you, I trust you more than I trust my fear. And in that moment, something shifts. Not always outside, but inside, a space opens, a lightness enters, a kind of peace that logic could never have led you to, because it's not found in thinking, it's found in being. You don't have to understand everything to be at peace. You don't have to solve every riddle of your life right now. You don't have to earn rest or justify letting go. Surrender says, peace doesn't wait until everything is resolved. It says, I can breathe even in the unknown. It says, I trust that life is unfolding exactly as it needs to. And maybe that trust doesn't come naturally to you. That's okay. Start small. Surrender your grip on needing to be productive every moment. Surrender your story of being behind. Surrender the need to prove, to please, to perform. Let yourself feel what comes when you no longer need to micromanage your existence. Sometimes the answers don't come until you release the question. Sometimes the right people don't find you until you stop chasing. Sometimes the peace you're looking for is buried underneath your refusal to let go. Surrender isn't about passively waiting, it's about actively trusting. It's knowing that there is a rhythm to this life, a wisdom that beats beneath the chaos, a current that knows how to carry you home if only you'll stop swimming against it. When you surrender, you're not saying I quit. You're saying, I trust life more than I trust my fear. I trust love more than I trust control. I trust my soul more than I trust my survival patterns, and in that moment, you don't lose power, you reclaim it, because the most powerful version of you isn't the one who has all the answers. It's the one who knows how to be still even when things are uncertain. It's the one who can hear the whisper of truth beneath the roar of fear. It's the one who chooses trust, even when trust feels like the riskiest thing to do. So let this be your reminder: surrender isn't about escaping life. It's about entering it more fully from a place of trust, not tension. And you're ready. You've always been. Now breathe, let go. Let life catch you. We all carry this quiet fantasy that one day, when everything's finally in place, we'll wake up and feel nothing heavy, no anxiety, no grief, no uncertainty, just lightness, just peace. But the truth is, peace doesn't arrive once all the pain is gone. Real peace is what steps in while the pain is still here. It's not the absence of pain, it's the gentle holding of it. Some of the most grounded people you know, the ones who radiate calm, who seem steady even when life shakes, they aren't peaceful because they've escaped hardship. They're peaceful because they've learned how to hold their pain with compassion instead of resistance. That's what changes everything, because pain, in its rawest form, isn't the problem. It's the story we wrap around it, the judgment we place on it, the way we tense up and say, "This shouldn't be here," or "I'm not supposed to feel this way." But what if peace isn't found in fighting the pain, but in allowing it to be there fully, tenderly, without shame? What if peace is the breath you take in between the tears, the soft voice inside you that says, "This hurts, and it's okay that it hurts"? The permission to feel grief, anger, loss without needing to explain or fix it right away. We've been taught that peace means control, that it's found in organizing the chaos, solving the puzzle, perfecting the conditions. But sometimes the most profound peace comes from unclenching, from releasing the grip, from letting yourself feel what's true instead of what's comfortable, and that takes courage, because to hold your pain gently means to stay present with it. Not to dramatize it, not to numb it, but to say, "I'm here, I see you, I'll sit with you as long as it takes." When you do that, something begins to shift, not because the pain disappears, but because it softens in your presence. Because it's no longer battling to be heard. Imagine a child crying in the dark. You don't tell them to toughen up or get over it. You hold them, you let them cry, and it's in that holding, in that safety, that the crying eventually settles. Your pain needs that same holding. That's what peace is. It's not passive. It's not naive. It's the deepest form of strength. To be able to sit in the fire of your own emotion and say, "I can stay." It's understanding that joy and sorrow can live side by side. That healing doesn't mean the pain never existed. It means it no longer owns you. Peace says, "I can carry sadness and still walk in love. I can feel the ache of what I've lost and still be grateful for what's left. I can sit with the parts of me that are still hurting without needing to rush them to the finish line." And the more you practice this kind of peace, the kind that includes pain instead of avoiding it, the more whole you begin to feel. Because you're no longer exiling parts of yourself, you're welcoming them home. So if you're in a season where the pain feels loud, where the questions are heavy, where nothing feels certain, don't wait for peace to come after the storm. Invite it in now. Let it wrap around you like a warm, weighted blanket. Let it be the breath between sobs, the soft voice that doesn't need to explain, just to hold. Peace isn't about fixing everything. It's about saying, "I'm allowed to be human here," and then being gentle with yourself in that humanness. You don't need to force the pain to leave in order to feel calm. You just need to stop abandoning yourself when it arrives. That's peace, not perfection, not avoidance, not denial, but presence and compassion, and the kind of inner stillness that says, even now, "I am safe to feel," and you are.